Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to this special episode of the Lazio Lounge. If I look a little bit older, is because watching this Lazio game is terrible. It's really incredible. I didn't expect to struggle so much in the second leg against Viktoria Plzen at home. But anyway, Lazio find a way to go through, and so we are in the quarterfinals of the Europa League again against Bologna. So, Lazio has a big chance. But, Alasdair, if we play like yesterday, we're not going to go through, right? The performance of yesterday was discouraging, concerning, right?
Yeah, it certainly made for a far more nervous night than I think we were expecting, than I think pretty much everyone was expecting. And, on the basis really of that first leg, where Pilsen played a particular way, the conditions were a particular way. And I think we all expected that on home turf, on the Stadio Olimpico pitch, and so on, Lazio's quality would come through. But you have to hand it to them. Pilsen were good over these two legs. I think they were unfortunate to go out really, and they gave Lazio a hell of a tie. But they found a way, and that's why ultimately I'm not too discouraged. You mentioned that word at the start. Obviously, the performances in both legs weren't great. But the fact that Lazio, they just this way of sticking in games, scoring these dramatic late winners, or in the last two games, something out of the game is important. And Lazio really got through this tie on and head.
Alistair, I understand what you're saying. It's always difficult, and we have to remember that, it's the final leg of European competition. It's difficult. You don't find easy team anymore. But, one thing I was saying yesterday morning before the game is that this team concede every single game at least one goal. I mean, we conceded a goal against Monza, who before the Inter game was struggling to score a single goal. It's so easy to score against us now that, in a competition where you can lose for losing 1-0, this is something that you have to remember, and it's concerning. Now, I watched like 3 times again Viktoria Plzen goal, and why is Patrick falling on the floor in that occasion is concerning. But they had a couple of good chances yesterday, and we didn't. We had a couple in the first half, and that was pretty much it. Yeah, they played well, but I thought we played badly more than they played better than us, right? If it makes sense.
Well, both. I mean, it was quite similar to the Udinese game. There was a bit of a worrying drop off in this second half. I mean, obviously, the second half is where we got that goal, but the goal came really through like force of numbers of corners because I mean, in the corner after corner after corner, and it was almost like training drills. If you take 12 corners, which I think it was by the time Romagnoli scored, eventually, surely one of them comes to something. And even then, the keeper probably should have saved it. It was a bit of a strange one that snuck over the line. But yeah, it's a concern. I do hope that the international break is coming at a good time. Obviously, the Bologna game is massive, and that's coming before the break. Massive in the sense of this top 4 race, and losing that game could have pretty bad implications in that race. But Lazio, I do feel like if I'm looking optimistically, the worst might be behind us, because you look at the team yesterday, okay, they're not playing great, but what we did see is Taty back in the starting 11, who I'm sure we'll get onto. We saw Deli Bashiru coming back into the side. Vecino got more minutes under his belt. There are players starting to come back into this team who have been missing recently, and Rovella has also been a big miss. But okay, we're going to lose him also for the first leg against Bodo Glimt, but he should be back in Serie A soon too. And I hope that kind of selection-wise, in terms of the fitness issues we've had and everything, we're over the worst of it now, and that might lead to some improved performances.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this, but before I want to ask you: don't you feel a little bit of shame of yourself? You said, Gigot is the new Bastos. Gigot is the new Bastos. Who scored 3 goals in the last 3 games?
Hey, I feel no shame. I feel great pride and honor that the Lazio centre backs have heard my rallying call, and they're coming to arms and wanting to take that crown.
Yeah, but you picked the wrong one.
I've infuriated Alessio Romagnoli. Yeah, but Gigot, to be fair, Vittorio, and to the listeners, to be completely clear about the new Bastos thing. Being the new Bastos isn't just about scoring goals. It goes way beyond that. You have to have the reckless defending at the back as well. And that's where Romagnoli's lacking at the moment. Romagnoli is too solid defensively to be the new Bastos. You need to get a Gigot-style red card and then go and score your goals. And then we'll maybe consider it.
But yesterday, at the end of the interview, they asked him, "Hey, Romagnoli, do you want to play number 9 next game?" And he said, "I'm ready." So, that could be a turning point for the season for Lazio. 3 goals, 3 consecutive goals from Romagnoli. That's unbelievable, really unbelievable. And all pretty much decisive. Yes, the one he scored in the first leg was the equalizer, and we won that game. But Udinese and yesterday, that was terrific.
Yeah, and if you'd asked me, while Taty's injured, who's going to be the guy who scores the most goals for Lazio, I'm not sure how many players I would have listed in this squad before getting to Romagnoli, but quite a lot. He's not a defender, even by defender standards, known for scoring many goals.
No.
But yeah, good on him. It was really needed last night, with the corners looking like the only real route to goal. I mean, I think we should say that they responded pretty well to going behind, because almost immediately they had Plzen, camped in their own half. They had 11 men behind the ball defending for their lives. The thing that was worrying me was, thinking back to the Rome derby and games like that this season, I was looking at that situation thinking, do Lazio have what it takes right now with, half of a Taty and, the Dia in poor form and so on? Do they have what it takes to break down this, if this is the way that Plzen are going to defend? And so ultimately it did rely on set pieces, and thank God that's something that Lazio can actually score goals from now, which we've been constantly amazed by throughout this season, doing these 2 things that they never used to do, which is scoring from set pieces and coming from behind. And Baroni deserves so much credit for this European run for a lot of reasons.
I mean, it's unbelievable. We spent the last couple of years saying, "Hey, Roma is scoring a lot of goals from corner kicks, etc. When are we going to start?" And now this year, we are the most dangerous team on corner kicks, which is incredible. And yes, we put weight a little bit, right? Castellanos, Dele Bashiru, etc. But it's important. The funny thing, I don't know if people read about it, is Romagnoli was staying on the back on that corner, and Patrick said, "Go in the box, you're going to score a goal." And he scored. So, Romagnoli said half of the goal is credit to Patrick that scored. Alasdair, when I saw the starting 11, I don't know if I was more surprised to see Taty starting, Castellanos, Patrick starting, or Nuno Tavares starting. What was the biggest surprise for you?
Taty, for sure, because I think there were obviously indications in the couple of days leading up to this game that he'd recovered quicker than expected and that he could play a part. But I didn't think it sounded like it was likely to be from the start of the game. I think it says a lot. It's as if we needed further proof. We've seen it really over the last month how important Taty is to this team. But then as soon as he's even slightly fit, which is debatable after that performance, maybe we can get to that, but Baroni calls him indispensable and throws him straight into the starting lineup. Now, I think it's fair enough, because if the player, if he's training well and if he's saying that he wants to play, then okay, give him a go. But to be honest, with his performance, I didn't think Taty was a disaster by any means, and I don't think he looked like he was out of shape. I just think what he was lacking was match sharpness. He looked like he hadn't really played for a while, because I don't know, his touches weren't great. He was making quite a few mistakes. Even physically, he was getting bullied a bit more than he usually does. And he just didn't look quite himself. I don't know how you felt about his game.
Well, I was surprised because in the press interview the day before, Baroni said he has like 20 minutes and then he plays 65. So, that was concerning. But yeah, I mean, you could see that he missed playtime. And, you have to get back to that playtime shape. That it's not easy. You need playtime. That's why Vecino played all the game yesterday, and Baroni mentioned it. I think the performance of Noslin and Chauna pushed Baroni to this direction to start Castellanos in this important game, and have Dia on the bench so that you take off Castellano, you put Dia there at number 9. It was the right solution. But yeah, I think, and Baroni said this after the game, Vecino played all the game, Del Bashiru came in, Nuno Tavares played, Taty Castellano played. He needed even to give, Patrick started, and Patrick wasn't, I don't remember last time he started a game. These players needed playtime to recover, not only the physical condition, but the playing time, the attitude, the atmosphere, all you need to go back to your level. So this was important. But for any stretch, we can say that Castellano played well, right? Even Patrick, I mentioned it in the goal, wasn't great. Nuno Tavares, again, another average performance. I didn't like Vecino, for example. I thought Vecino made a lot of costly mistakes. So,
what did you think of Pedro as the 10?
I thought in the first half he was the best player on the pitch for us. He was the only one moving around. I think he's more dangerous there, especially now at this age. He's not a winger anymore. He has to play there. He can be very dangerous in that position, creating chance and opportunity for the other players. So I think he can be the new number 10 going forward, and Dia be the replacement for Taty Castellanos. You mentioned it, Sunday, there's a very important game. And seeing Taty starting on Thursday, do you think he's going to start again on Sunday?
Well, like I say, from what we've seen from Baroni, yes, because if he's calling him indispensable and if he's willing to go on Taty's word and Taty says he wants to play, then I think he will play. Especially because we know he's not being called up by Argentina for the next break, and we are getting that 10-day or whatever it is period after the Bologna game, where Taty will have a bit of an opportunity to recover. So as long as you don't feel like you're putting him in danger and you're going to worsen an injury, as long as you have the security that he's recovered from his injury, and playing him is just a case of seeing, it's a case of fitness and form rather than a case of a risk to his health, then I think he would start. Because the Bologna, because it's Bologna, maybe this game isn't getting as much attention as it should. But look at the league table, look at Bologna's form, look at their home form. This is an unbelievably big moment in this top 4 race. And Bologna have just qualified for the Champions League, so this is a team that can do it, not to be taken lightly. It's going to be tough, and I think you'll lean on Taty if Taty's available.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the same. Alasdair, we mentioned it already in the past podcast. Should Lazio choose between Europa League and Serie A and what to pick? But this is an interesting conversation because the fixture is terrible. So the 6th of April, we're playing Atalanta Lazio. The 10th, there's Bodo Glimt Lazio. The 13th, there's the Derby. And the 17th, there's Lazio Bodo Glimt. So you cannot really choose, right? I mean, you cannot play the starters in the Europa League and play the subs in the Derby, right? That's not an option.
No, well, I think there'll be a bit of mix and matching going on, though. I mean, this is a good thing. Obviously, there are certain players in this team. You could pick a Lazio starting 11, say that's your strongest 11, but I do think Baroni's been very good and clever with the way he's kind of dropped certain players in and out or taken them off early in games or whatever to try and spread those minutes, which was something you were talking about last podcast, the way that the minutes have been spread throughout the team this season so much so that Lazio don't have an overwhelming amount of minutes for their top players. So I think he's going to have to continue to be really smart about that. Each game kind of on its own merits, because I think you know that playing, well, those two Serie A games, you know that playing Atalanta is going to be a very different kind of game from playing Roma. So you might want, Gigot against Roma's physicality, and whereas you might want Patrick's ball playing against Atalanta, for just off the top of my head. So I think there's different ways of doing it, but it's probably going to be the biggest challenge so far to that rotation policy that Baroni has. But yeah, I think that's his success at doing that is why we are where we are, why we're in this European quarter-final. Because something I wanted to talk to you about, Vittorio, is that the way that he's changed the way everyone feels about the Europa League, and that to me is huge, and it's so refreshing and new and exciting. And something that might have got a bit lost in yesterday was that there were 40,000 people at the stadium. Okay, that's still 20,000 or more away from a sellout. But for Lazio at 6:45 on a Thursday in the Europa League, that is almost a miracle. I mean, I actually looked this up for an article I wrote yesterday. And in the last couple of times Lazio were in the Europa League, the crowds on an early kickoff on a Thursday were as low as 8,000 in some of the games, but generally between kind of 18 and 25,000. So if you think of it in that context, it's almost doubling your average crowd for that game because people are actually behind this now. People seem to believe in a European run, and they seem to have, got involved in it. And you might say, okay, that's because it's the knockout phase. Well, yeah, but we've been in the knockout phase before too, and people haven't got this excited about being involved in a European run. So I think Baroni deserves huge credit for that as well, that he's actually taken this conversation, this competition seriously from the start, and he meant it because he's backed that up with his selection and his motivation to the players in these games.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it for ages since we started this podcast. We were so upset about these teams and these fans ignoring this competition like we were Real Madrid, right? Winning 30 Champions League or so. So it was good. It was good to yesterday see the stadium pretty much full. Seeing the fans thinking about winning this competition, because in the past, even during the game, I had fans thinking, "Hey, let's get out of here. We have to focus on the Serie A." And you were, in the last 16, sometimes even with a big opportunity to go forward, and still people didn't give a damn. They were only focusing on the Serie A. So it's good because let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have Bodo Glimt next game, which is not easy because, as Romagnoli mentioned yesterday after the game, it's artificial grass. We never played there, so it's going to be difficult, a little bit like we did away against Viktoria Plzen. But then in the semi-final, you're probably going to get Tottenham or Eintracht Frankfurt, two good teams, especially Tottenham. And then in the final, you're going to find Manchester United, I guess. So I don't believe, and I don't agree with people saying that Lazio is the favorite to win the competition. I think there are at least two teams better than us. But at this point, you have to play to win every single game. You have an huge opportunity. You have to try to do the best of it. We can be unlucky. It depends on injury, etc. but we have a huge opportunity, right?
Massive, yeah. I don't know about Man United, by the way. I think Athletic Bilbao will reach the final on the other side, but
Could be, yeah.
another
And
argument.
that's going to be even worse, right? Because they're playing the final at home.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think that with Bodo, the tricky thing is that's a tie you can lose in the first leg if you're not careful. You really can because of all those things you're mentioning. Look at their home form. I mean, I was just having a quick look there. They beat Porto already in the league phase, and then the last two are probably the most concerning because they smashed FC 20 5-2. That was a two-legged tie where 20 beat them at home in the last round in the knockout round. So 20 were on top in that tie until they go to the Arctic Circle and get smashed. Same with Olympiacos. They get smashed in the Arctic Circle. They manage to win at home, but it's not enough. So, having a good performance at the Olimpico isn't going to be enough. Lazio need to perform in that stadium in those difficult conditions because otherwise it's going to be a far more exaggerated version of what we've just seen with Plzen.
Yeah.
I think we can expect it to be an even harder away trip than that and put even more pressure on us for that home quarterfinal.
Yeah,
but it's still a tie Lazio are huge favourites for. I checked it out last night, and Lazio, if you put value in the UEFA club coefficient, Lazio are 25 places ahead of Bodo. So it does tell you that Lazio are still the team that should be winning this tie.
They had an incredible run in the European competition in the last couple of years or so. So they're dangerous. Huge advantage. The second leg is at home. So, that's a bonus. And the other thing, Alasdair, is not playing in winter there. It's huge, right? Now, I don't know if their league is on pause at the moment or they're restarting, but definitely, not playing with minus 15 there, it should be an advantage for us. Said this, another team of Rome lost 6-1 there, so we have to be careful. It's something that we have to remember. But again, if you can win the away game, that would be huge, right? Because you have the derby in the middle, and then you have the second leg at home. So, you need to come back to Rome with a win, if possible, to make it easy. Because you're gonna have the derby, and derby can make you lose energy, injure players, and so on. So we have to be really careful about that. But quarterfinals playing against Bodo Glimt, you should be happy, right? It's
yeah.
If you see the others, it's Manchester United, Tottenham, Eintracht Frankfurt, etc. They're all big teams. Yeah, probably Rangers is the easiest one, but I will still pick Ranger rather than as a bigger team than Bodo Glimt, right? I mean, you are the Scottish guy.
Well, yeah, they're clearly a bigger team, but whether they're a better team is another question. Yeah, I mean, their season hasn't started yet, but the Norwegian season starts in a couple of weeks, so there'll be 2 games into the league season by the time the Lazio tie comes around. Look, it's exciting. Yeah, absolutely. Would you have taken it? Yes, absolutely, we would have taken it. It's like I was saying in the last podcast, much to your annoyance, it's the best chance Lazio are going to have. I don't think that gives you any guarantees of success whatsoever, but it is worth embracing the fact that you're going to be favourites, trying to behave like favourites and feel like favourites. Even if this does feel all new. It's the third time we've been in the Europa League quarterfinals since 2012, the first one with Petkovic, when we lost to Fenerbahce, and then the Salzburg one with Inzaghi a few years after that. Both of those ties were lost in the second leg, both in fairly dramatic circumstances as far as I remember. But I don't really recall those ties coming about with the same feeling, with this same kind of like belief and excitement, really, about the European run. and I think probably because the fans believe in this team a lot too. Performances recently, like you say, haven't been great, but still, Vittoria, when you're not playing well, to go 4 games unbeaten, to beat Milan at San Siro, and to get through a knockout tie to reach a very rare European quarterfinal, it's not bad going when you're not at your best.
No, and the most encouraging thing is that Taty's back, Vecino's back, Patrick is back, Dele Bashiru. So you're getting players back, and I think that's really important. I think the most important thing going forward is to get those players on shape and get them ready for the challenge, right? I know we have like 1 month before the game, but the goal would be to get Taty in best shape for that game. Let's not forget that Rovella will be out, and I thought we noticed yesterday that we didn't have Rovella. And when Dele Bashiru came in, Alasdair, I thought Lazio played better. Lazio created more chances. So getting Dele Bashiru back could be an important key, especially for the first leg, right? I think if Dele Bashiru start playing like he did in the last 5 minutes yesterday, he could be decisive. He could be a game changer for a European run. Too much?
Yeah. Also because he allows you to play in different ways. You know, he can fit in easily between the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3. And obviously, he's spent time playing as the kind of mediano this season as well. So I think he's a really useful player within this squad. Hopefully, we get to start seeing a bit more Belayan in Serie A too, to just take some of the load off those guys. I keep saying every week, but I don't know how Guendouzi is doing this. It's absolutely incredible, the energy in that guy's legs. Maybe it's the hair. Maybe he's just got energy coursing through that giant mane. But yeah, no, I think Bologna is going to be really difficult. Like I said, last podcast, only lost once at home all season. They're in really good form at the moment. I think they've won 3 in a row, is it, coming into this? They've got a Scottish player, which is always really dangerous. So yeah, it's going to be a big test, I guess, of where Lazio are at this one.
Yeah, I totally agree. But again, having Taty Castellano played yesterday, I think he's going to start on Sunday, and this is encouraging going forward. Alasdair, you have to concede me. You have to allow me this. It was a red card at the beginning on Zaccagni. The ref made an unbelievable mistake. Unbelievable mistake.
Do you think that's just because of it being so early?
You think the VAR wasn't on yet?
No, I just think that sometimes decisions that would be clear once a game is fully underway can be different when it's so soon. If it's like 30 seconds out into a game, I'm wondering if the officials are less willing to change the game so early. I don't know.
Yeah, but the VAR should be on even after 1 second, right? The VAR.
No, I'm sure the VAR was on. The VAR looked at it, didn't it?
No.
Oh, was it not? I thought it was being checked.
No. Well, as far as I was concerned, you get the video on the stadium when there's a VAR check, and they checked the Rovella foul last week, and they didn't this one. It's embarrassing. It's really, the ref can make a mistake and understand your thoughts, right? The ref could have said, yeah, it's too early, yellow card, but the ref on the VAR should have called him and said, hey, yeah, it's 30 seconds, but this is a red card, straight red card. No discussion at all. Yeah,
he's kind of lost control a bit. He's off his feet, and the studs are up. It's straight into the ankle or the calf.
Yeah, let's not forget that Zaccagni had been like 4 minutes on the floor, and I was really scared. Baroni sent 3 players warming up because I thought he was concerned that he couldn't continue the game. So the ref had all the time, and the VAR had all the time to call the ref. This is simply unacceptable.
Yeah, it wasn't that dissimilar to Gigo's one, actually, in the first leg. Gigo looked wilder, obviously.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing I can really think of on that one. Obviously, in Europe, sometimes referees arrive with different standards or different expectations based on what league they normally referee in. I think he was a Dutch ref last night. So I don't know if that's not a red card in the Netherlands.
Come on,
You would have thought it is. And I don't know, like I say, if it's just because it's the first action of the entire game, if he's just in the back of his mind thinking, strong warning here, but I don't want to ruin the game after 30 seconds.
No, I think it's a red card even on the moon, to be honest with you. So doesn't make sense. Anyway, the important thing is we went through. It wasn't nice, but at the end of the day, Lazio is in the quarterfinals against Bologna. Big opportunity. Obviously, you have to play better than this. And Sunday, there is Bologna-Lazio. So we'll be back Monday morning to recap this very important away game. Lazio need to win, or at least get points for the Europa League, for the Champions League fight. There's Fiorentina-Juventus, right? So Juventus could lose other points. I think there's another Atalanta-Inter, which in a little bit concern Lazio, right? If Atalanta loses, we can get points, recover points to even there. So we're going to be back on Monday. Thanks to all our Patreon. Remember, you can support us on patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Membership starts $2 a month. And thanks, everybody. Take care, and we'll be back Monday. Ciao.
Cheers.